Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Walker. On the news this hour, court grants the DSS 45 days to keep Sowore in custody for it to conclude its investigation. And the Deputy Governor of Kogi State says he knew the war was coming his way in the wake of the impeachment move on him by the Kogi State House of Assembly. And a former chairman of Nigeria's electoral body, INEC, Professor Maurice Iwu, to be arraigned in court today on allegations of money laundering. Welcome everyone to the program. Let's get started, shall we? Interestingly, we're talking on the Revolution Now protest and the aftermath. Mr. Omoyele Sowore will be in the DSS custody for about a month and a half more. This comes after the Abuja Division of the Federal High Court granted the application of the Department of State Security Service, DSS, to detain the convener of the Revolution Now protest, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, for 45 days with effect from today, August the 8th. The vacation judge, Justice Taiwo, gave the order in a ruling on the application by the DSS, seeking an order to detain Sowore for 90 days pending the conclusion of its investigation. In his ruling, Justice Taiwo said that the word may, as used in Section 27, subsection 1 of the Terrorism Prevention Act, is directly giving the court the discretion to make a decision on an issue. Mr. Sowore, who was also the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress in the February 2019 election, was arrested in the early hours of Saturday by operatives of the Department of State Services in Lagos. The state agency said Mr. Sowore was arrested on account of the Revolution Now protest, which he had spearheaded. And further, in the future, if the investigation is not completed within that time, he says that the 45 days will start to count from today. Meanwhile, Mr. Sowore's lawyer, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, has dared the DSS to charge his client to court, threatening to present as witnesses some officials in the current administration. Let's get some more details on proceedings of the courtroom today. Our correspondent Amaka Okafor is covering the case for us in the report.
Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has ordered the Department of State Services to detain a co-convener of the Revolution Now protests, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, for 45 days. The Department of State Services had asked for 90 days to enable it carry out further investigation into allegations of terrorism against Mr. Sowore. However, Justice Taiwo said that the may in Section 27, subsection 1 of the Terrorism Prevention Act is not mandatory but directory, and he will use his discretion to order that he be detained for 45 days only. He, however, said that the Department of State Services is at liberty to return to court to ask for further extension via an application. Back to you, Lagos.
All right, many thanks, Amaka, for that. Elsewhere, the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, has been reacting to the Revolution Now protests and the detention of Mr. Omoyele Sowore. The national chairman of the APC, Mr. Adams Oshiomhole, after a meeting with the president of the State House yesterday, criticized the reasons behind the protests months after the 2019 elections.
What is it that Sowore, the publisher of Sahara Reporters, a presidential candidate cleared by INEC to bid for power and who had the opportunity to ask Nigerians to vote for him? What exactly? Now Nigerians have voted, the votes have been counted, and he was not a favored candidate. Now, what does he want now? To say that Nigerians must make him the president? No, what is it that he wants? Because we all have to be careful. Nobody should talk as if we have another country. We have challenges, but somehow we have all resolved as a people that the way and the route to power is through the ballot box. Our task as a people is to continue to work to clean up the system so that only Nigeria people and Nigeria peoples alone shall determine who govern them at all levels. That, I believe, is a legitimate thing to fight for. But if you want overthrow, you want a revolution, then it should have spared us the INEC from going to put his name on the ballot paper. I mean, I don't want to talk about this. I believe Nigerians have the right to protest. I believe people have the right to contest issues. People have the right to disagree. And I've always said that government don't have right to dictate to people how to protest. But you must state what exactly that you want.
It was also at that meeting where Mr. Sowore spoke that the President, Muhammadu Buhari, vowed to explore all options to resolve the leadership crisis rocking houses of assembly in Edo and Bauchi states. President Muhammadu Buhari mentioned this when he received members of the All Progressives Congress in the Bauchi State House of Assembly during a courtesy visit at the State House, Abuja.
Stay firm, bearing in mind your responsibility representing your constituencies, and stay firm, keep your party in the state informed, keep the party in the center informed, and definitely after the next break, I just have to summon the minister, one appointed, the Inspector General of Police, and to work with the party to make sure that Bauchi and Edo State National Assembly vis-a-vis governors problem is solved.
Let's now take a look at the legal perspectives of this, going back to the court ruling on Sowore's detention. Joining us from Abuja Studios is a legal practitioner, Mr. Rilwan Opanachi. We would like to thank you for joining us at this time and ask what's your take, especially with regards to the court ruling today. 45 more days given the DSS custody to detain Mr. Sowore.
Thank you, Millicent. Yeah, the court ruling is not nothing new. It's the law that is at its play. The law empowers the DSS or the government to apply for detention or further detention of a person who is subject of an investigation. That is the Administration of Criminal Justice Act gave that power to the government, which is what they are exercising. So there's nothing new with what played out in the court today. The court is empowered to grant the order that it's granted, and the government is empowered to apply for the relief that the court granted. So there's nothing new. So it is the law that is at play.
So, Mr. Opanachi, I had a lawyer in my studio yesterday who didn't think that the court would have granted that in favor of the DSS, because he talked about the constitutional provisions when it comes to a bail hearing and the maximum of 48 hours, and this is for a number of days. So, hasn't the Constitution been breached in this case? Looking at also what the court cited, and that is a provision of the Terrorism Prevention Act, Section 27, subsection 1.
No, I don't think there is anything like a breach of fundamental right in this case. The person that is keeping the Sowore for 45 years now, the authority now is the court, and the court is empowered to do that. And if anybody is not satisfied with the order of court as made, the person has a right to appeal to the appellate court to challenge the order as made. So it doesn't lie within our amount to say what the court did or the action of the government amount to a violation of the constitutional right of Sowore. I mean, he was arrested, detained, and not taken to the court. That will amount to violation of his fundamental right. But for the fact that he was taken to the court and he's going to be kept in detention for the next 45 days on the order of the court, I don't think there's anything like a violation of his fundamental right. The fundamental right that we're talking about is not absolute. There are limitations. And the court is one of the authorities that can successfully restrain your fundamental rights and that is what the court has done in the circumstance.
But
So
a lot of people
the
are
issue of
confused.
fundamental
Hold on one moment, Mr. Panachi. A lot of people are confused because they're wondering at what point do we say that the rights of citizens will be suspended for the national interest?
No, everybody has the. If I guess you correct, you're asking whether we have a right to stand up for national interest. Am I correct?
Not exactly. Sometimes even the state governments, they've said that over a period of time, there are certain issues, there are certain things that can happen, and they would say citizens' rights take the back stage for the national interest or for the public interest, as a former AGF put it.
Yes, it is true that Nigerians have the right to protest in the interest of the nation and in the interest of the public, but the right as well is not absolute. So your right to protest in the interest of the public and in the national interest must be very clear from your action, your statements, and your activities. So the right to protest in public interest is not supposed to be exercised in disguise of your own personal interests or whatever. So, but when you look at the statement made by Sowore, upon which the government is now arrested him and is now trying to prosecute him, it will show clearly that it was not all about the public interest. The statement talked about the fact that the 2019 election was not credible, and as a matter of fact, he was a participant and a candidate in that election. So it could be taken that he was, trying to achieve that which he couldn't achieve in the 2019 election. He also talked about other issues like corruption, like ineptitude, which we can say that deal with the public interest. But we're just coming out of 2019 election, where Nigerians were given opportunity to make a statement on those issues. I followed Shore's campaign, and those issues form part of the cross of his campaign. He was talking about the ineptitudeness of the government, he was talking about the corruption and whatever. So Nigerians were given opportunity to pass judgment on those issues, and they passed their judgment clearly, saying that no, we don't agree with you, and that is why the president was re-elected.
Right.
So it is not for you to come out and incite people or threaten revolution or threaten treason because you lost an election.
We'd like to thank you. We appreciate your time. I wish we could talk some more, but these are definitely issues that will keep making news in the coming days. But we appreciate the lawyer there, Rilwan Opanachi. Breaking news just then, and that is the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has ordered the remand of former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Maurice Iwu, in EFCC custody till tomorrow, August the 9th, when his application for bail will be heard. Now, this followed his arraignment by the EFCC before Justice Chuka Obioso on a 4-count charge of concealment, fraud, and money laundering of 1.2 billion naira. Professor Iwu pleaded not guilty. Now, in the charge, the EFCC claims that Professor Iwu allegedly aided the concealment of the sum of 1,203 million naira between December 2014 and March 2015. The money is believed to be part of the 23.29 billion naira slush fund allegedly shared by former Petroleum Minister DSS and Alison Madueke to influence the outcome of the 2015 presidential elections. Now, there appears to be a new twist to the political rift, and this is between the Kogi State Governor Yahya Bello and his deputy Simon Achuba, opening up what may seem a tension in the leadership of the state. Now, lawmakers in the State House of Assembly today began the process, this was yesterday now, to impeach the deputy governor over his alleged utterances and action in some national media. The lawmakers described the said media interviews as a gross misconduct against the governor of the state, Yahya Bello, and the people of the state. The Deputy Governor, Mr. Chuba, says he is not ruffled by the action of the State Assembly lawmakers. Rather, he believes the action of the lawmakers is a sharp response to the corruption allegations he leveled against the State Governor.
I know that they will go that way and it's a scam. And it's a reaction to the revelations that I have made instead of responding to the issues of corruption as alleged, he prefers to go to the assembly. I am not disturbed, I'm not worried, and I want to let the people of the state know that the struggle continues until the state is emancipated, is liberated and free from these people who have made up their mind to change negatively the state of Kogi. So I want to appeal to people of Kogi State not to be worried. They should go about their business peacefully. By the end of the day, who is standing well will be known.